Today I'm going to replace my dining room tabletop again, and here's the result. Okay, so this is our current dining room table. I'm not going to change the table, I'm just going to change the top. I've already expanded a small table with this plywood top, and then I put this nice finish on it. Well, it's not that nice. I love the color, but it just did not hold up for whatever reason. I probably didn't do it right. Whatever the case is, we're kind of sick of looking at this, and I do not want to spend the time on this piece of plywood. And yes, it's my own fault, but this is just ridiculous. We are hard on our table, apparently. So I'm going to replace this with reclaimed wood I have. Some nice looking reclaimed wood. So why don't I build a new table and make it really nice? Because we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I think until we have like a 5 and a 7-year-old who can maybe take care of stuff, I'm not gonna invest time and money in doing a really nice table. So we're gonna keep using this base the way it is because it's working great. We like the size of this table, but I am gonna switch out the top, and I think if everything goes according to plan, it's a 1-day project to get the top on, and then maybe another day or so to sand it and then finish it and let it cure and all that. But again, it doesn't need to be super durable because we're not going to finish it. We're just going to leave it natural, and we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. To sort of catch you up on what just happened, I have this big load of Cypress that a friend gave to me. As you might have seen in another video of mine, he gave it to me. It's reclaimed paneling, I guess. And, you know, with that comes a couple risks, like some nails or screws or something still left in it. So I made sure to check it with a metal detector. And long story short is it was already planed, and he saved me that time by doing it himself. And I essentially just am going to take this,
get a straight edge and glue it up, and that's what I'm going to be doing here. So a couple considerations about Cypress. It's a kind of, well, it's a very soft wood. I'm pretty sure it's very moisture resistant, so that's a consideration you'll want to think of if you ever want to use it. But another thing I found out, and this might just be the age of it, is that it's kind of brittle, and it, just like pine, it tends to really have structural issues along the grain. So this is something I had to be very careful about, especially even with the finished project, that I felt like it was always at risk of just cracking along the length of the boards, especially, again, once I had it all glued up. Because I had 6 boards to get the total width I needed, I essentially just glued them up in batches of 2. I don't have any huge clamps, and I'd rather just take the time anyways and make sure I get them all flat. So I applied cauls at the end of it all. Well, during and at the end here, as you can see, that's what the 2x4s are for, just to keep it all nice and flat. And there was a board or two that were pretty twisted, and this just evened it all out. And in the end, I had a nice tabletop that was 6 feet long by 42 inches wide. And then I got to evening out all the boards to make sure the joints were smooth and had a good transition from one to the next. So this is me using my converted scrub plane here. It's just a Stanley 4C that I put a really cambered iron in. And I'm just going along the glue joints. I'm not trying to get this panel exactly flat. I just want to make sure that it feels good and there's no sharp edges anywhere. And I'm taking any really, really high spots out. After taking my scrub plane, I went on to my number 5. It's a Stanley 5C, and that's got a Woodriver iron in it, and it does miracles. I just love it. It's so good. I can get that thing really razor sharp, and the extra thickness just tends to plow through things. And as you can see, I'm getting some pretty good, nice curls here that are, in some areas, really long, so that shows you that the board is coming into tolerance here from what I like. And because this board's so wide, I have to sort of get creative with the way I plane. And once I felt like the board overall was giving me good, pretty longish shavings, and that my plane was bringing it all down pretty smooth, I moved on to my smoothing plane here, and that's my Woodriver 4.5. I'm about a year into owning it, and I would not go back. I love it. It's the perfect way to, put the final smooth surface on your boards. Again, it's got a really thick iron, about an eighth of an inch thick, and it just does work. I love it. Here too, you can see me getting long, full width shavings, and that's telling me that I'm about ready to be done here. So I'm going to finish smoothing, and then I'm going to go around and bring the whole board now into square. And I'm going to use this drywall square actually to put a good edge on the one end, and I'll do the same on the other. And just to let you know, before I did this, I made sure the width was exactly the same across the board. And so I saw it off on both ends, and then when I'm done sawing, I'm just going to clean it up with my hand plane. Once I feel like the panel is good and square and everything's consistent and nice and cleaned up, I'm going to take my marking gauge and from the top surface, I'm going to measure down a good distance, whatever I want. Here I measured down about 3/4 of the way down, and then I struck a line all the way around, and then I flipped the panel over and measure in a good distance and mark it as well. And this is going to create a bevel. I'm going to plane away from the line down and in, as you can see me doing here, and that'll create a bevel. And it'll make the panel look a little thinner, but it also ease the edges a little bit. Nobody wants a really, really hard edge. Then, because like I said, I didn't really care too much to get the board perfectly flat all the way across, I just sanded it down all the way up to 220 grits, just to make sure I had a good smooth surface. And when I was done with that, I applied the stain. And what I did is I mixed two colors. One of them was this really bright red, and then the other one was a much darker brown. And I just sort of kept mixing them until I got the color I wanted. And this color is a pretty close match to my actual dining room table color, and I was really happy about that. At this point, all I have to do is remove the old top and put the new one on, and it was that simple. And here you're going to get a look at just how beat up that top was again, and just how nice that new one looks. In the end, after I let the stain set for a little while, I put 2 coats of wipe on poly and then 2 coats of paste wax that I buffed out with a rag.